Based on our last discussion, what we discussed, we started with a VPC concept known as VPC pairing. Now, before getting into this topic, I already told you there will be no communication between two different VPC. By default, there will be no communication between two VPCs. Please remember, or any VPC in that matter, because their CIDR range 10.0.0 slash 16 or 192.0, the CIDR range is different. So there will be no communication by default. So that is the advantage of using VPC, right? You can create your own isolated network. Nobody can come in and access your resources. You're protecting your resources. Now, in some cases, what you need to do is, if there are two VPCs, let us assume there are two VPCs and my front end of my application is running in this first VPC, VPC1, and in VPC2, backend of my application is running. Okay. So if I wanted to start communicating, or if general public or anyone from the internet start using this, front end obviously need to communicate with the backend and get the response. It is a backend and it is a front end, right? But these two applications are hosted in different subnets or different VPCs, right? So there will be no communication between these two VPCs. Now, in that case, what you need to do, you need to establish a communication between these two VPCs. How you can do? You can do it using something called as VPC peering. Okay. Now, how? Okay, we'll discuss that later. Now, there is this. Okay. So let us create two VPCs first. So this is my first VPC, and let me write it down. This is my first VPC, and this is my second VPC. Inside first VPC, let me create one subnet. I'll call it as public subnet. And this is my, again, a public subnet or private subnet, anything in that matter. If you want, you can create that, any subnet based on your requirement. Public subnet 1, public subnet 2, and I'm creating one EC2 instance in both of the. Oh, I don't think. Okay. I'm creating EC2 instance in both of the subnets. Okay. So this name, I'll give it as test VPC, and this is a production VPC. Okay. Prod-VPC and test environment or something like that. Test VPC. Okay. Now, what is the CIDR range for this? CIDR range for my first VPC, I'll give it as 10.0.0.0 slash 16. What is the CIDR range for your production VPC or to your second VPC? I'll give it as 192.0.0.0 slash 16. Okay, this is the CIDR range for my production VPC. And this is my public subnet. And this is also my public subnet. This is public subnet 2 or prod. I'll call it as prod public. I'll call it as test public. Okay. Now, what is the subnet range for this one? I'll give it as 10.0.0.0 slash 24. For this one, 192.0.0.0 slash 24. I'm giving the other subnet range here. let us create this first. Okay. And where is this? Okay, I'm here. And one more point here, where you are creating these VPCs, you can create these VPCs in different accounts or in different regions. Okay. Or in, so whenever you're performing in VPC peering connection, you can connect it in 4 ways. Okay. First way is between VPCs in different region in same account. If this is my one AWS account, you'll be having multiple regions, right? One is Mumbai region, and another one is, let's say, Tokyo region. That is what I'm telling you. Between VPCs in different region and in the same account, same AWS account. The second one is same, sir, till here, where between VPCs in different region, I'll copy this, paste it here. Between VPCs in different region in different account. This is also, these are the different ways of doing VPC peering between different accounts. What is the third one? Between VPCs in same region in different accounts. What is the fourth way? Between VPCs in different region in different accounts. These are the 4 different ways. Same account, to keep it simple, same account, same region VPCs, same account, different region VPCs, different account, different VPCs, different account and different region VPCs. 4 different ways are available, sir. That's it. There is no difference. While implementing, you will come to know what is that, this option, where it is available. Okay. So now let us create this. So I need to create 2 VPCs, correct? First is here. Create VPC. I'm quickly creating VPC here. VPC only. What is the first VPC name? My first VPC name is test VPC, right? Belongs to testing environment. 10.0.0.0/16 and just drag this. Create VPC. My first VPC is created. I'll create one more VPC here. Test VPC is created. Create VPC, VPC only, prod VPC. Okay. What is the CIDR range? 192.0.0.0/16. Let me create this. So with respect to our diagram, test VPC is created and prod VPC is created. What is the next thing? Next thing, we need to create the subnet. So let us create a subnet here. Create a subnet. Which VPC? First, I'm creating under test VPC. So this is public test public. And what is the availability zone? 10.0.0.0/24 and create subnet. Okay, we have created a subnet under test VPC. We need to create a subnet under prod VPC now, right? So create, select prod VPC, public prod 1A 192.0.0.0/24 create subnet. Okay. Now we have created one public subnet in both the VPCs. What is the next thing? We need to create a routing table and a GW for your VPCs. So let us do that. First, let us create an internet gateway. Which internet gateway? Test internet gateway. Belongs to test VPC. Okay. So we need to attach this test to attach VPC to which VPC? To test VPC. Attach. Okay. Now let us create another internet gateway that is broad IGW, right? Create internet gateway attached to VPC. Now this time to which VPC? To prod. Internet gateway is created, right? What is the next thing? We need to create the routing table. Create routing table. This is test routing table, right? And which VPC? Under test VPC. Create routing table. And once the routing table is created, what you need to do? You need to come to routes, edit routes, add. If the 000, the request is coming from the internet, where you should forward to internet gateway. This is my internet gateway. Save changes. Then come to subnet association, edit subnet association, test VPC, save association. Your public routing table for test VPC is done. Now we need to create a routing table for your production VPC, prod routing table. And here select VPC, create routing table. Come to routes, edit routes, add route, same 0. Then go to internet gateway. What is that internet gateway? This one, save changes. Come to subnet association, edit subnet association, public prod, save association. Now everything is created. What is the one thing is left out? See here, I just mentioned it as a subnet. Again, you need to create, here you need to create one public subnet, one routing table, one internet gateway, IGW, attach that IGW, then what is the, you need to do the routes and subnet association. All these things you need to do for both of the VPCs. That this is already done, right? Now, what I need to create? I need to create a EC2 instance in both the VPCs. Here one and here one EC2 instance I need to create, right? So let us create that also. Quickly, let me do that. So I'm creating EC2 instances here. Launch instance. This is test server. Okay. Ubuntu. Ubuntu keeper is temp. Temp. Yeah. Let me check this key. I don't know whether this is temp. I don't know. Or not version. Okay, create new keeper. I don't have this. I started working in North Virginia region. I don't have the keeper, so that's why I'm creating a new keeper here. Okay. So in which subnet I wanted to create and on which VPC? Test VPC first. In which subnet? Public subnet. Whether you want to allocate public IP? Yes, I wanted to allocate public IP. Come down, launch instance. Same. Again, create one more machine. This is prod server, production server, right? Prod server. into, what is the key pair? This is Virginia. Edit, prod VPC, public prod. I need to assign public IP to this machine. Then launch instance. Okay. Now we have successfully created two machines here. One is test server and prod server. If you look at this diagram, everything is created. Now let us log into both of these machines. So prod server, first let us log into test server, copy public address. SSH -I. What is that? key Virginia, Ubuntu, UPU, NTU at your public IP. Paste. Right? Just log in. Yes. Okay. We logged into this machine. Again, I log into another machine. New window. Okay. This is one machine. This is the machine. This is test machine. This is production machine. I'm logging in. Okay. Where is that IP address? Production. This is not Singapore. Just a second. Virginia. Paste. So now okay, successfully we logged into two of these machines. Now what is the agenda here? We need to establish a communication between these two VPCs. But let us see whether there is a communication between these two machines. How to check that? Just come to your test server. Left side is a test server. Ping. Just take a private IP. See, whenever you establish a communication between the VPCs, there is this between the VPCs or multiple VPCs, then the communication must happen through its private addresses. It should not reach to the internet. You are trying to do the secure connection or secure communication between your resources in different VPCs. So the traffic should not reach to the internet. It should only be internal to our AWS account. So whenever you do the internal communication, use private IPs for a secure communication. What happens if you use your private IPs? It will not reach to the internet. It will use AWS own network. It will make use of AWS network internally and it will try to communicate. That is the major advantage of using private IPs. So here we are doing the internal communication. Take public IP of it. Private IP of it. I'm taking private IP of prod server and I'm pinging that in from my test server. See, there is no response. And I'll come to my prod server, ping, take the private IP of test server, private IP, and ping that server. See, there is no response. Now what you need to do, as I already told you, there is no default communication between two VPCs here. So you need to establish a connection. How you are going to do? Just come to your VPC here. Just come down. Here you have a connection known as peering connection. Okay. Just click on peering connection. Right. Next, go here. Create peering connection. Just provide any name, test to prod peering, test to prod peering. What is the VPC ID of the requester? From which VPC you are trying to do the VPC peering? From test VPC, right? Test VPC. Then whether, see, I told you, right? There are 4 different options. Whether you wanted to do the VPC peering in my account or in another account, or in this region, whether the VPCs are existing under the same region or another region. Based on that, you can select. Now, in my case, VPCs are in my same account in the same region. You can also select another region. Just select the region, provide the VPC ID. How to provide the VPC ID? Just come to your VPC console, go to your VPCs, and here you just select that VPC. Here you can able to get this VPC ID. Just copy this and paste it here. That's it. Okay. So now in my case, this is only single account. In the same region, I have a VPCs, both the VPCs, right? Just what is the acceptor VPC here? This is my prod VPC. Requester VPC is my test VPC. Acceptor VPC is my prod VPC. Okay, just come down, create peering connection. Just click on this. Now, once you create this peering connection, what you need to do here, if you can read this, pending acceptance. That means if you come to this peering connection, you can able to see pending acceptance. Okay, so just select on that pending acceptance, go to actions and accept the request. Even if you're doing between the same region or between the different accounts, you just need to peering connection. First create a peering connection, then go to peering connection. You can able to see something called as pending acceptance request here. Okay, just click on that and accept that request. Now we have successfully created a peering connection, right? Now there should be a communication between these two. See, still it is not working, right? Now what you need to do is, the second step is, you need to add, see, here is one routing table, right? This is my one routing table in my prod VPC, and there is another routing table in my test VPC. Now what you just need to do, add routes. What routes you need to add? Add CIDR range of prod VPC. You just need to add routes in your test VPC. What is that CIDR range? CIDR range of your prod VPC. And in your prod VPC routing table, what do you need to add? You need to add CIDR range of your test VPC. This is what you just need to do. Okay, just come back. Where is this? Go to your routing table. Here, this is my test routing table. Go to routes, edit routes. What I need to add now? I need to add routes of your prod VPC. What is the CIDR range of my prod VPC? That is 192. Here I think I have wrote this. Here 192.0.0.16. That is my CIDR range, right? 0.0.0 slash, sorry, slash 16. Use, and once here come down, you can able to see peering connection. You need to click on this peering connection, then you can able to see this peering connection, whatever you created. Save changes. Now we have done this for test VPC. Same repeat it for your destination VPC as well. This is my requester VPC, and what is the other VPC we have? We have prod routing table. Just go to routes, edit routes, and what is the CIDR range of my test VPC? It was 10.0.0.0/16. Okay. Now what I need to select here, I need to select peering connection. Then come down, select that peering connection. Save changes. Now, again, now we have added all the things. There should be a connection, should be started between these two things. Still, it is not working, right? So what might be the reason? Guys, any idea? We have successfully established a connection between your VPCs now. Everything is perfect here. Now, what is the reason it is not getting?
Maybe internet gateway is not connected.
Okay. Any other reasons? See, for these EC2 instances, you have security group, right? These security groups are blocking this request. Okay. Now, whenever you use ping command, okay, what ping command will do internally, it will use something called as ICMP. This is a ICMP protocol. Just like is your HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, ICMP is one of the protocol. Okay. And this protocol, you need to allow this in your security group. Whenever you use ping command, it internally uses ICMP protocol. And did I told this in any of my classes? ICMP ping uses ICMP. If it is not used, okay, fine. Let me tell you. See, ping is nothing but from one computer. Get this. Ping is nothing but from one computer. You are just from one mobile. You are texting to another mobile. You are saying hi, and from this phone, you are getting response as hello. Same thing happening with your ping. I'm just pinging this with a response, sorry, request, and it is giving me some response. That is what happening. But internally, what ping uses? Ping uses a protocol known as ICMP protocol. And what is the port number for your ICMP? There is no specific port for your ICMP. Please remember this. In one of the interviews when I attended, they asked me in the client round, last fifth round, they asked me what is a ping and what is the command or protocol which uses ICMP, and what is the port number for your ICMP. There is no port number for your ICMP. What it will do, it will use something called as, it might be new word for you guys, epithermal, I don't know, epithermal, spelling M-I, epithermal. Okay. If spelling is not corrected. Epithermal ports, epithermal ports or epithermal ports. That means in your laptop, there are 0 to 65,000 ports available in any of the machine. Okay, it randomly picks any of the port from these ports and it will use it. There is no specific port. That is what a epithermal port or ephemeral port. Ephemeral port is nothing but a random port from your machine. Okay, ICMP is the protocol, and what is the port number? Random port number. That is ephemeral port number. What is that ephemeral port number? 0 to 65,000. Okay, please remember this. So now in our security group, what do you need to do? You need to allow the traffic. Just go to the security groups of both the EC2 machines. Console, where is this? Test server, go to security, come down. Where is this? Security group. Edit inbound rules, add role, custom TCP. If you just come down, here you can able to see one rule. It's this. All ICMP IPv4. Can you able to see this? Just click on that and select IPv4 here. Anywhere IPv4, save rules. Repeat the same thing for your production server as well. Go to security. Where is this? Security group. Edit inbound rules. Add rule. All ICMP IPv4 addresses. IPv4 and save rules. Okay. Now, see, now the traffic is automatically it has started between your two VPCs. Can you able to see this? Yes. So this is how you can establish a connection between two different VPCs. Okay. So any doubts in VPC peering? From anyone? I'll
No,
just
sir.
stop. Yeah, I'll just stop this. If you wanted to stop this responses, just click on, just come to that, this one, just click on Control C. And same thing here, Control C. Okay. Now VPC peering is stopped. And this is how you can able to create a VPC peering. So do you want me to repeat the steps once more? So that is just, where is this? Just a second. Where is this? Okay. So what is the first step you need to do? Create two VPCs. Create two VPCs with subnets. Then with subnet, routing table, IGW, and launch and launch EC2 missions in both the VPCs. This is the first thing. Next, what you need to do? Next, create a peering connection between VPCs. Okay. Next, once it is done, accept the request. Once that is done, next add routes to routing tables. That is, if you are using test vip under test routing table, if this is my test routing table, which routes I need to add? I need to add prod routes. That is prod CIDR range I need to add. Okay. And if I'm adding for routes for prod, then what I need to add? I need to add for test VPC CIDR range. Once that is done, just go back to your security group and allow ICMP IPv4 port or protocol. So this is what you need to do. Done. So these are the steps. See, in interviews, they'll not straight away they'll ask you this question: VPC peering. What is VPC peering? They go through the scenario based questions for this. You have two VPCs. I wanted to establish a connection. How will you do it? Some story they'll make up. But please remember, between two VPCs, just a word two VPC. Then you should come to the first thing should come to your mind as it is a VPC peering concept. Okay. So next, we'll discuss some of the rules related to your VPC peering. That is, the first rule related to your VPC peering is VPC peering. Whenever you do VPC peering between two VPCs or two or more multiple VPCs, there should not be an overlapping, no overlapping between CIDR range. That means if this my VPC 1 and this is my VPC 2, if you are using 10.0.0.0/16 and 10.0.0.0/16 for both the VPCs, this will not work. Okay, no overlapping between CIDR ranges of your VPCs, two different VPCs. That is the first condition. What is the second condition? The second condition is VPC peering does not support transitivity. Okay. Now tell me, what do you mean by VPC peering does not support transitivity? That is fine. What do you mean by transitivity? Let's say you have two VPCs. Let's say you have three VPCs: VPC A, VPC B, and VPC C. Okay. Now, if I wanted to establish a communication between these two VPCs, first what I'll do, I'll establish a connection from A to B. Then if I wanted to establish a communication between B and C, I'll establish between these two. Now tell me, can I directly communicate from A to C? Is it possible? Any answers? At least tell me yes or no.
Yes, it is possible.
See, that is what it is not possible. Okay. So whenever it is a your VPC peering is a one-to-one connection between only one VPC and another VPC. It is not a multiple connections. Okay. So if you wanted to again wanted to communicate with CVPC, again you need to create one more VPC peering with this one. So that is what the transitivity is. That is, it supports only one-to-one communication. It will not support multiple VPCs. Okay, these are the two rules you need to remember whenever you're talking about VPC peering. Only two rules. First one is there should not be an overlapping between your CIDR range, and VPC peering does not support transitivity. What do you mean by transitivity? It is kind of an one-to-one connection. It does not support multiple VPCs to communicate or multiple VPCs communication. Right? That is, if I wanted to communicate with VPC C, I cannot go from VPC B from B to VPC C. You should only go through like this. Okay. So that is the other thing. Any doubts? Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, then I'll move to the further concepts. Okay. Now, we have created a connection between your VPCs in the same account or which might be existing in different account in different region or the same region. We are establishing communication between these things. But now my question is it possible, where is this? Is it possible to establish a communication between your cloud servers and between your on-prem servers. You already know what is this on-prem servers. I already explained this, right? Is it possible to establish a communication between your cloud servers and on-prem servers? Right? So the answer is yes. You can able to do the communication between these things. And now how you can able to do the communication between your on-prem servers and cloud servers? There are multiple methods, multiple ways to answer this. First way is we call it as a virtual private gateway, or okay, I'll discuss about this first. We call it as a virtual private gateway. So virtual private gateway, what it will do is, see, this is suitable for maximum, or I don't know, wait, what is that limit? Limit maybe 50 VPCs, I guess. Okay, this is kind of suitable for medium organizations. If the organization is having medium, that there are not so many VPCs, like thousands of VPCs they are not maintaining. If they are just maintaining like 50 to 100 VPCs, and their servers already exist in what is this, on-prem, and their servers also present in your AWS account. Now I wanted to establish a communication between these two servers. Okay, so what we can do is we can create one thing called as virtual private gateway. What it will do, will create this at an account level virtual private gateway from AWS side, and whatever the VPCs you have, you will provide all the information to this virtual private gateway, and this is kind of a central point which have all the details of your all the VPCs. Okay, so now this is from our AWS side. From my on-prem cloud service part, what I need to create, they'll create something called as, what is this, customer gateway, CGW. What this CGW will be having, again same, it will be having all the details from your on-prem server. Okay, now we have a VPG, virtual private gateway, from my AWS side, and customer gateway from my on-prem service. Now we need to establish a connection between these two things. What kind of connection? We need to enable private connection between these two things in order to establish a connection. Private connection or tunneling, TUNN, tunneling, private tunneling between these two. Why we are creating this private tunneling? If you wanted to create a secure connection or encrypted connection between these two things, then what you need to do, you need to create this tunnel. For creating this tunnel, what we are going to use, we have some service called as site to site VPN, virtual private network. You are going to use this service. If you wanted to establish a communication between your AWS account, AWS servers, and your on-prem servers, first option I'm telling you, the first option is we are going to create something called as virtual private gateway. This includes all the details of your VPCs. Okay. And from your on-prem servers, what they'll create something called as CGW, customer gateway. This is kind of a physical machine. Okay, they'll create this. And in order to establish a communication between these two things, or in order to enable secure connection or private connection between these two things, what they'll create something called as site to site VPN, which enables or encrypts the data or communication between these two things. Okay, that is what happening here. This is the first way of doing it. Okay, now, as I already told you, this is suitable for only if you have 50 to 100 VPCs or something like that for medium organizations, medium to small organizations. Now, if I'm having thousands of VPCs, I have thousands of VPCs in my account, and here also in my on-prem servers, here also I do have thousands of VPCs or some private networks. Now I wanted to establish a communication between these two servers, right? So this is my AWS account. This is my on-prem servers. So in order to establish communication between these two things, what do you need to do? See, if I use peering connection, first one, what happens? Peering connection is suitable for small to small organizations. Why? If you just have like 30, 40, or 50 VPCs, VPC1, VPC2, VPC3, and VPC4, just like that. First, create a connection with 1 to 2, then create a connection with 1 to 3, then create a connection with 1 to 5. How many connections you are going to create? Is it possible when you have thousands of VPCs? It is not possible, obviously, right? So in that way, we have some other concept known as transit gateway. Okay. What is this transit gateway? If you want to, there are two advantages of using this transit gateway. First one is, if there are thousands of VPCs existing under your AWS account, then you can do VPC peering between these thousands of servers. And that too, it is a transitive connection. I just now told you what is that transitive connection. If you are connecting from A, B, C, and from A to B, then you can directly communicate from B to C, or from A to C, you can directly communicate. That is a transitive connection. So first advantage of using your transit gateway, it helps you to establish a connection between thousands of VPCs inside AWS, and it is a transitive connection. What is the second advantage? It also helps you to establish a connection between your on-prem servers and your cloud servers. If you have thousands of VPCs here, I'm having thousands VPCs, and here also I'm having thousands of VPCs. Now I wanted to communicate. What I'll do, I'll just create a central point. This is kind of an hub, central hub. To this hub, I'll provide all the VPC details. And to this hub, again, I'll create a same, provide all the information. And through your using its Amazon's network, Amazon private network, these two things are communicating. Okay, this is the thing related to what is that VPG, virtual private gateway. Then we discussed about is that customer gateway. We discussed about site to site VPN. Then we discussed about transit gateway. So these are the questions they'll ask in your interviews. But I cannot show you the practicals of this because I don't have any on-prem servers with me, right? And they'll also not ask you like show how you'll connect all these things in interviews. They'll just ask what are the things which you use for doing this on-prem to cloud connection. Okay, so first, see, I would have directly told you transit gateway. You can connect using transit gateway, all these things. But to interviewer, I want you to give the options. See, bro, we have two kinds of options here. If the organization is a smaller one, then you go for virtual private gateway or no site-to-site connection, all those things. If the organization is larger one or some kind of an MNC, then you can use this transit gateway as your middleman for communication. you provide this type of answer to interview. They'll expect transit gateway, but they'll be not expecting this answer. Even they'll not be knowing this. Okay, so that is the reason I'm giving you two options here. Please practice. Okay, so and I just wanted to show you this difference between these two things. Where is the document? AWS here. Okay, I think you can able to see. Let me zoom. See, first one is what is, I'll share this document with you also. What is transit gateway? Transit gateway is nothing but central hub for connecting multiple VPCs and on-prem networks. Okay, fine. I already discussed. What is virtual private gateway? VGW connects a single VPC to an on-prem network. This is also I told you, right? What is site-to-site VPN? Establishes an encrypted connection between your on-prem servers and your VPC. This also we discussed, right? What is the use case? Ideal for large-scale complex network setups requiring interconnectivity between multiple VPCs and on-prem networks. That is larger organization and which might be having many number of VPCs and on-prem servers. If you want to establish connection between them, then go with transit gateway. Suitable for connecting one VPC to on-prem network. So this is for the small scale, right? And use it to securely connect an on-prem network to VPC over the internet. See, if you look, what is the difference between what is the difference between transit gateway and VPG or site-to-site VPN? So VPG or site-to-site VPN are almost same, right? They are in the same scenario. But what is the difference between transit gateway? Whenever you create a transit gateway VPC peering connection, what it will do, the connection it uses, what it will use Amazon private network for the communication. This is my one VPC, another VPC. What is the network it is using? It is using Amazon's private network it is using. But when you create VPG or site-to-site VPN between your on-prem servers and your cloud servers, what it will do, it will make use of your common internet for the communication. And this communication is secured. But here it uses Amazon. This is more secured than this one. It is using public internet. Again, it is secured. I'm not telling you that. It is using VPN between the connections. But this is more secured than your VPC, VPG and site-to-site connection. Okay. So that is the other difference here. Yeah, use case management managed by a transit gateway service, managed by AWS service. Just go through this. Scalability connection types supports both VPN and direct connect connections. VPN connection, VPN, just a simple one. See, public internet, no. Uses AWS's private network, which one? Your transit gateway. And your, what is this? VPG, yes, uses public internet for VPN connections. Same thing, yes, uses public internet for VPN connections. Okay. Private network, same thing. Again, they mentioned. That's it. So these are the differences between what is transit gateway, what is virtual, what is that? Virtual customer gateway, no? VPG. I forgot name. Virtual private gateway. And site-to-site VPN, right? All these things, or what is customer gateway, all these things we discussed. Now, the one more last thing I wanted to discuss is we have created an IGW, right? What do you mean by IGW? Can anyone tell me?
Internet gateway.
Sorry.
Internet gateway.
Yeah. What it will do? It will try to establish a connection. If this is my mission, if this is your EC2 mission, then what it will try to do? If someone is trying to connect from the internet, it allows him to connect. Or if somebody else from this machine wants to connect to the internet, then also it will allow. It is kind of a bridge between your what is that, internet and your C2 machine. Correct? It is allowing both incoming traffic and outgoing traffic, or it is allowing both inbound traffic and outbound traffic, right? But in some scenarios, I'm creating one application. I don't want any incoming traffic from the internet. I don't want any incoming traffic from my internet. What I want, I just want outbound traffic from my EC2 instance. I don't want the incoming traffic, but what I want just the outgoing traffic. Okay. So if you wanted to implement this scenario, again, you have one more IGW known as egress. Egress only IGW. Okay. This is an IGW or internet gateway. What it will do, it will just send a request from your EC2 machine to the internet, but it will not accept any requests coming from the internet. It will block those requests. That is, it is a unidirectional IGW. It will not accept the request from the internet. And at the same time, it supports only for IPv6 addresses. We discussed about IP, right? Oh, just give me a second. We discussed about IP addresses, right? In IP addresses, we have IPv4 address and we have IPv6 address. So your egress only supports only for IPv6 addresses. And if you look at this egress only internet gateway, it is similar to your NAT if you can compare egress. So what NAT will do? This is kind of a private subnet. From private subnet, it allows only requests from the what? Only
Private subnet.
outgoing traffic, right? Same NAT gateway, only outgoing traffic. There is no incoming traffic here. Here also same thing. But this is for IPv6 addresses. This is for IPv4 addresses. Clear? So I already mentioned or created a document for this. See, purpose. What is the difference between IGW and egress only internet gateway? Provides a way for resources in VPC to communicate with the internet. Fine. Allows instances in VPC to access the internet for outbound traffic only. There is only outbound traffic or outgoing traffic. There is no incoming traffic. Enables both inbound and outbound internet traffic per resources in VPC. Both inbound and outbound. Here, there will be only one outbound traffic. And you just go through this differences. What are security, configuration, direction of traffic? Direction of traffic supports both inbound and outbound. Here, it supports only outbound. That is the only thing. Okay. So, these are the things related to your complete VPC, sir. Okay. Whatever the things that we discussed VPC, just go back, repeat. Please do day-to-day revision. Day-to-day revision you need to do, sir. Otherwise, you'll forget this. Okay, please do this. Daily spend at least 30-40 minutes in revising all the concepts, right? And time, do we have a time? Okay, we have a time. There isn't one more concept for today, just a simple concept. Now tell me, what is security group? I want answers from you.
It's a firewall for the EC2 instance.
Okay, this is a firewall at my EC2 instance. Now we have a subnet. If you wanted to protect your subnet, what you have, we have a this one. What is that? NACL, NACL. Correct. Now we have what we have, where it is being created. It is created under VPC. So for your EC2 instances, what is the firewall? It is a security group. For your public subnet, what is the security? It is a NACL. Here you can block the IP addresses or block range of IP addresses which are coming into your EC2 instance. Block IP addresses or port numbers, whatever the thing that you wanted to group. And security group is a stateful or stateless? Any answer? It is
Stateful.
see, security group is stateful and NACL is a stateless. You already know this. Now we protected our subnet, we protected our EC2 instance. Now we need to protect our VPC, right? Yes, we have created an network is gone. Just give me a second. Oh.